Howdys and salutations, y'all! Sorry about the wait. Had to take a second there to get everything set up. I didn't have a chance to do any of that over the weekend. Had family in town, gotta say hi to folks, you know. But we are back at it now. And by back at it, I mean back at 3D modeling the Ishtar Gate, because that's the plan for today. Or at least continuing what we've been doing, which actually we've got the gate modeled already and UV mapped okay. And this is part of why I didn't worry too much about the UV mapping being precise, is because once it moves and warps, unless we subdivide this surface a heck of a lot more and do some other things with it, it's going to get a little warpy, but that's okay given our camera angle, truthfully. Like if we jump to our camera angle, whoops, let's make the actual surface visible, shall we? And we let the animations run, it's not going to be super visible, it won't be a big issue. Or maybe it will be a big issue. We'll play with it, but right now I don't think it's going to be an issue. I may even play around with some flat textures rather than this. Don't get me wrong, this texture was free and it's perfect for an authentic Ishtar Gate, which let me actually pull up our references now that I think about it. We can't go without those. Because, I don't know, the Ishtar Gate, I don't know how commonly known it is on Twitch. It's a famous monument to be sure, but at least in the parts of the world I'm from, it's not going to outweigh, the Colosseum in people's awareness. Even though it is just as awesome. Let's see. Pure ref. Choose this. Do I have to choose at least one other thing first? Well, that's fine. We'll go ahead and spoil that, yes, I've been using Blender tutorial, as most of you know, the Blender Guru's famous donut tutorial. 3.0 version is pretty up to date and it's very good. Here's our actual reference, by the way. Ishtar Gate. Those photos are from the Pergamon Museum in Berlin, but the original location, as you might have guessed, is not Berlin. Look, the UK isn't the only one that has potential historical issues with let us very generously say borrowing, and then let's not do that because it wasn't. But they having monuments where maybe they shouldn't. But it is where it is at the moment, and until we get around to fixing that, it's in the Pergamon. I mean, I can't complain because I was able to see it in the Pergamon. I wouldn't have been able to see it in its original state, but that doesn't change the fact that, I'm not entirely sure it should be in the Pergamon. Anyway, art history and all the wonderful complexities it brings with it aside, and I do hesitate to put it aside, it is truly fascinating. I had a professor who worked with the FBI to help identify stolen art and locate its origin. And super cool stuff. But it's not really the point of our 3D modeling today, unfortunately. I'm just a fan of ancient monuments, and this particular reconstruction using original pieces of the Pergamon Gate is fun, and it's fairly easy to model, and it looks like legs, so it's also an excuse to learn to animate. Because we're trying to do a sort of self-driven Blender crash course in a month. We've got 4 streams to go, counting this one, because where I am at, Thanksgiving is a holiday, and so I will not be streaming on Friday. I should make sure I put that in the schedule, actually. No stream on Friday. No Friday stream. But there will be one tomorrow on Tuesday, as per normal. Oh, and I should use that, what intonation was it? I'm gonna have to write down. I've got a live, not live sign, virtual sign. Yeah, this was it. That my folks put together. And I ought to kick that off since I'm actually live. On air. Anyway, that's not relevant to the stream. That's just for personal locations so that people don't meander in. Anywho, back to 3D modeling. Blender crash course in a month. We got 4 to go, but we're also making good headway. As you can see, we've got the Ishtar Gate doing some fun poses. Let's let these animations actually run. This one, per viewer suggestions, ended up being fairly funny. Although, I mean, all of the poses are probably going to end up being fairly funny. That's just kind of my jam. We've got our sneaky one, which is like sneaky but heavy. The top doesn't lurch quite as much as it probably should for the down motion, but I don't want to mess with it too much right now. And of course, we've got our, back when we were just getting the rig going, uh, I don't know why, this one just feels like a Blue Jeans ad. Like that pose right there. It's just like the perfect frame. Oh, and then chunking. Chunking is not great. It's not great. I should probably lower the tilt on the x-axis a little bit, but it's, you know, it's silly and it's fun. The point is, we've got a couple different motions going. We've got the bones rigged up. We've got the mesh affixed to the bones through a series of trial and error and some research and some pain. We got that going. UV is on it and mapped. Modeling is obviously completed. We've made a lot of headway this month, but there's still a few things to do. One of those things, and the focus of today, hopefully, is going to be working on, I call it the easing, because I've learned like easing in and easing out, and that's the terminology I know from some other sources. Technically, it's going to be the graph editor and the editing fall off. Well, it's not editing fall. We are editing the fall off, which is basically how quickly something speeds up in its movements and how much it slows to a still. Because that impacts a lot about if you're trying to, if you see an animation and the weight looks wrong, like the way it's moving, like the movements are the right places, it's all the right poses, but it looks just floaty or super draggy and bad. It's probably because they got this part wrong. Well, I mean, there's a million things that can go wrong. Animation's got a whole bunch of moving pieces, as it should. But frequently it's this. And so that's what I want to look at today, but like I mentioned at the start, I didn't get a chance to dig into the graph editor nearly as much as I would have liked. All right. That one looks jarring from behind. Let's go back to skipping, just because it cracks me the heck up. Right. Sorry for the yawn. Getting sleep schedule back on track slowly but surely, but it just ain't quite there yet. But I assure you we'll get there. Until then, you may just have to bear with my yawns. Sorry about that. What is... Okay. Few things you may have to bear with. Anyway. While the things that follow, like some of them are actual users, and it's always great to have y'all here. But then there's also the bots, and some of the bots are unique. But don't worry, if you're here and actually listening, I know you're not a bot, so, you know, we're cool. It feels so silly having to even think about that stuff these days. But it is what it is. And given how quickly Twitter's just, like, imploding, and the recent MatPat video that was actually pretty good on Twitter not at all representing actual mainstream thoughts, despite creating false sense of consensus, it's fascinating. Not that Facebook or any of the others are any better. We're all in our little bubbles. Oh, okay, but back to the matter at hand. So laying this out, hopefully today we'll get easing and such sorted out, and I am going to probably pop up with the Blender video since we'll watch a little tutorial as we go. Blender Guru, I watched it a while back, but it's been a few months, and I, been busy with other stuff and then modeling, so I haven't checked the animations. We'll do that for today. Hopefully we'll get that in a decent way today. And then the rest of the month is going to be 3 things. One of those things, and most likely the most important, is lighting and camera angle. We're going to really set up like the composition, per se. Make sure this looks good. The second one, and that might involve textures too. We'll see if we adjust those or not. The second of those 3 things, just to outline this, is an actual set. I've got something in mind because I don't want to have to actually animate this walking around, so the solution to not moving the gate is moving the ground underneath it. So let's pop this thing on a conveyor belt so that it stays in one place doing its poses, but it looks like it's going for a little jaunt. Getting some exercise, you know. And then the third thing is going to be actually rendering the darn thing, because I don't know how to do that in Blender. I mean, I can render a frame. That's not that hard. But rendering a full animation and exporting it, a little bit more challenging. And it gets a lot more challenging if we do the thing I kind of want to do, but I'm not promising it. This depends on how well the next couple days go. If we have time, and I figure out how to adjust the keyframes in a way that isn't rebuilding them from scratch, then I'd love to sync this with some music. Like maybe these boots were made for walking. I think that would be fun. Or some other one. Lots of good song options. Some good, some terrible. All fun. So we will, I don't know, keep on keeping on. But first things first, I'm gonna skip this song because it's so high pitched. It's like causing my brain to shut off. But we will also actually, watch that tutorial I talked about. Whew, pardon. I instead of sleeping, I've been catching up on just like old school sketching with pencil and paper, and also watching Game Grumps while I do that, which is not the way to practice, by the way. Watching a video or listening to music even while you're working is generally not recommended if you're trying to learn something new, because your brain's distracted, so you're not retaining it so much. So let's actually give our music ear a pause. Just a quick one. We'll come back. Grandma's theme from Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. And we will crack open this and hope. Oh, I'm not. I refuse to make y'all put through any advertisements. Y'all should not have to put up with that. You're here for entertainment. And, like, eventually maybe there'll be. Maybe long term someday we'll have ads and I'll actually make a living off this. But if I'm not making a living off of this, why am I making y'all sit through junk? There's no point in that. Okay, camera framing, playback and frame rates. Yes, yes. Adding keyframes, frame dropping. Graph editor. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, jolly good graph editor. A wonderful time it is. Let's let it go. Blender Guru. Oh, yeah. I don't know if it's Bezier. I always said Bezier. I might be wrong. We're here? Yep. No, wait, why don't I? There's a better way. Hey! Oop. And we can look at the bones to see the actual. Woo! Yeah, that's actually pretty good. You can see we've got slightly more complicated and read messy these. We don't need them, but they ain't hurting anything. I'm leaving them for main. Maybe cleaner practice in the future, but not right now. Dope sheet, action sheet, and a lot of other systems. I think it used to be called action sheet in Blender too, actually. I was doing some research on it. Because of course I was. A little bit of a nerd if it hadn't shown. But yes, the graph editor. Yeah, the graph editor is nice if you conceptually understand how it works, which, trust me, at first glance, I sure as heck didn't. Oh, okay. So wait, hold on. Let's find a line that doesn't do anything, so it doesn't matter. And let's follow along. Be a fool not to follow along. Oh, that line actually does do something. So, ooh, and that one's pretty. Control, right click. Hey! Hey! Cool, okay, that's actually really handy. $7.20. Okay, this isn't super relevant to what we need. Let's see if we can't. Because yep. Ooh. Yeah. All right, so the slow speed up is the thing that we need to address. Yes. Okay, that straight lines it. So no acceleration in or out, no easing. Then speeds up. And then you soften that one. Okay. So it's all handled with the, at least these ways, the Bezier curve handles. Um, let's see. Decide render 5 seconds and 40k 60 FPS. Good choice, man. Good choice. That's how it goes, though. And I do look forward to rendering because a lot of that will not be happening on stream. That may be, well, we'll see if where we're ready at. That may be a good Wednesday evening activity. I've got, I think, like a doctor's appointment anyway or something, so I won't be on regardless, even though, like, we don't stream on Wednesdays anyway, but I probably won't even be on the computer because I'll be busy. So, okay. So, that tells us, and you can sort of see from this that I messed with these a little bit, but the way you explained it basically helped it click a little there. And I've done a little reading from the animator's toolkit, I believe it's called. Excellent book for the beginning animator. Just a lot of useful basic knowledge. It's a lot of stuff that is since disseminated and just is kind of out there everywhere. But and it's good. It's good. So what we need to do is we need to think about what would make this motion look normal. Because right now it's basically at a steady pace all the way through. It's not accelerating or decelerating into or out of any of these motions. And that's, well, it's floaty and awkward and bad. So that's what we need to fix. Now, I'm on the second floor, so I shouldn't try to jump and mimic this motion, but I'm gonna. So let's just think about how this goes. So you've got the crouch down, which is going to be like an ease in and then hold at the bottom point for a minute and then snap up and snap down. It's not going to be an immediate snap. Like the unfurl. So the unfurl needs to be pretty immediate. Like we're going to accelerate real quick. Zoop, zoop. And then the down isn't technically immediate because gravity is accelerating negative 9.81. But for our purposes, it's even with the size of this gate, I don't want the landing to be too jarring because I ain't doing camera motion keyframe. It'd be easy to do, but I don't want to have to try to manually shake it. Even like just a slight jitter would be jarring, and I don't think I want to do that to the viewers. Although maybe. If we do it subtle enough and it isn't jarring, it could be fun. And like add a little character to it. And basically the point being, if we want this to look really massive, then we need the fall to start slower. Because with us, like where we are, I jump like, I don't know, like 6 inches into the air or something. Even if you really lean into it, like kick your legs up, go higher. It doesn't take that long for you to, reach your apex point and then land. Like, gravity gets you pretty quick. But if you're really big and proportionally the jump is really high, it's going to take a while for it to get back down. And so we'll actually be able to see a little bit of the acceleration as it's going back down, because that... My logic on this isn't exactly right, and I think it has more to do with the mass of the object and a few other things, but I can't explain the physics behind it. I just know that that's how that's going to need to go. So if we want it to look like a heavy landing, we need the down to start out a tiny bit slower, but still speed up as it hits the ground and not ease into the bottom. But one thing at a time. So I think the first thing is, let's grab it when it's at one of its low points in its crouch, because that's sort of where I think about this. So low point, up, and then down. Up, and then down. Okay. It's like one of those poppers. You put it to the bottom for a little bit, it'll stay there for a moment, and then it will rapidly accelerate to its high point. And then back down, and it will ease into the crouch. So it's going to go pretty quick into the crouch still, but the last little bit will be slower. So next thing I need to figure out is, I guess I'm going to start by applying it to everything that's keyframed, rotations and positions. And if we need to tweak it, like say rotation should be like accelerating and decelerating one way and positions differently, we can go from there. But I'm going to take the old blank piece of paper is the worst approach theory and just do it all. And then we can tweak rather than trying to start from nothing and like adjusting a little bit and it's not really enough to see feedback, and adjusting a little more and it's not really enough to see feedback. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So step one, grab all the bones, because we got a lot more going in here than is obvious. And everything on all... Okay, I guess I need to actually... Oop. 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you imagine this with a much larger skeleton? I'm sure there's stuff you can do to manage selections a little better. Do I need to... Oh, right, I need a control click to get everything in between, but I'm not even sure this thinks of it this way. Can I just grab every... Yeah! Okay, wait, but I only want them all at a specific point, and specifically at one of the down points. Okay, so for context on what this graph editor is, let's scoot our gate to the side for a moment. Each of these points is a keyframe, and a keyframe is basically where we're saying, I don't care about anything else, but the model, or in this case the skeleton controlling the model, needs to be in this position at this point in time. So at frame 0, all of these, like it needs to be, I'll stop it playing for a second. Like at frame 0, it needs to be posed like this. It has to be this leg up at these angles, this hip bent like this leg twisted back. All of that, I'm saying at frame 0, it has to be this. And then I go and say at frame 30, it has to be in this pose, which is all the way to the crouch. I'm not going to tell it what to do in between there, at least not specifically. I'm going to let Blender figure out how it needs to move to get between these 2 points. So it needs to move that leg down, it needs to move the other one sort of turn forward, it needs to bend the knee. It figures that out, and it auto-calculates that, and it basically puts in these lovely little smooth curves that aren't, like, they're not quite flat, but they're very gentle, and they give it, like, that floaty effect, because that's just like, it's like, hey, you didn't tell me how you wanted to get from A to B, you just said go from point A, i.e. frame 0, to point B, i.e. frame 30, and just get there. I never told it how. And then same thing for 60, and same thing for 90 and 120. Those are our five basically key frames. Um, yeah, it was a different animation where we had some actual like more in betweens than that. But right now the keyframes are stuck to the most extreme parts of our pose. And the reason for that is, well, because I don't want to overthink it too much for this early test while we're learning, but also because the extreme ones are the most important ones. Like, it can sort of guess between the two. And if you want a really good animation, you need to tweak it and plan it better than this. But if you're just like, okay, this is it at its most high point, this is it at its most low point, in terms of like crouch down, and then it goes back up to the high point on the other side. Like, those are the maximum points of that position. Um, and then everything else I can just sort of figure out between those 2 points. So they're the key ones because they're like, okay, this is a notable position where something starts to change, or where something is at its apex and begins to fall, it's at its bottom and begins to rise. They're really important for tracking the actual movement. Because if I keyframe this without this one, then it would never actually get to the bottom. It would just go from this pose and then jump, like start working its way all the way back up here, which like not what we want. So we need to make sure we're getting the extremes. However, the floatiness is because we've not told it what to do in between, and we're just letting it figure that out. And you might have guessed from the tiptoe pose having a little more weight to it, we actually keyframed a few in between, because we're like, no, don't just smoothly go. I want you to like zip to it and then hold for a moment and then drop. Lift the leg up, wait, and then lumber forward. That kind of thing. But we don't have to keyframe to do that. Not with Blender, anyway. Because what we can do with these Bezier, however the heck you say it, I apologize to everyone who actually knows French. I studied German in school and Latin, and I'm not super fluent in either. Ich kann Deutsch ganz okay verstehen und Latein macht viel Spaß, aber es ist tot und nicht komplizierter als Deutsch oder English. It's not more, Latin isn't more complicated than German or English. Um, each language has its own problems. For French, one of the main problems, well, having not studied it, the main problem for me is the pronunciation is super not literal, and so until I learn how to interpret it, it will be a mystery to me. I can just sort of guess, but it's not actually knowing. It's just extrapolating from bad data, from like what I hear in a La Madeleine bathroom because they've got language lessons on the speakers. It's not actually helpful. Don't learn French from me. Don't learn any language from me. Probably don't even learn English from me. I read a lot of like old English or middle English. Yeah, a little more to middle English and like high school because I was a nerd. And then I also like took German classes whose grammar is closer to middle English in a lot of ways in terms of structure. And so if I'm not careful, my language gets real stilted. And then I was also a history major, so my writing stinking unnecessarily verbose. My I partake in exorbitant quantities of superfluous vocabulary, to put it in the least helpful way possible. But the point of this is, the grand secret is we don't have to keyframe all of this. How the heck did I get onto talking about Latin? Never mind, it doesn't matter. Latin will have its day. It has and probably will again. I'm not saying Rome is like on the rise or anything. I'm just saying like it comes up a lot in ancient academic languages. Anyway, the point I am trying to make is let's start on the first keyframe and think about this pose because this is the extreme. This is the crouched down all the way. So when it's crouched, like you can see with this floaty one right now, everything immediately starts moving to the next position. It's like, whoop. I want it to like hold in this crouch for a while. Not quite all the way crouched down. Maybe even crouching a little bit, well, okay, no. If I wanted to crouch a little bit more, I'd need another keyframe. But they do say higher contrast, so if you dip like a little more before the jump, it makes the jump pop better because there's more contrast from the down. That said, since this is a loop and it's just moving between the two positions, I don't think it matters that much. But I do want it to hold on that lower section for a while. So, what I'm going to do, or try to do anyway, is extend these so that you can see. Okay, look at this blue curve here and see what it's doing to it. Right now, it starts rising like immediately from frame 30. If I pull these curves out, it starts a little bit, but then it kicks off real strong. Um, and all of these movements are going to do the same thing. You can see how much it's warped it compared to. So this section here is basically going to be a match of this section, slightly mirrored, but basically similar. But you can see how much these are like squished to the far end now compared to this. And I'm actually going to grab these ones as well, because you can affect it from this side. And I'm going to push them out a little bit, just to make sure that we've really got I want a steep slope. Okay, I guess it's not really going to go beyond that, because the others are pushing the other way. So, let's look at this movement now and see how it has changed. Starting at 0, so this one is still going to be floaty, but now it holds, and then it kicks. It holds, and then there's the floaty one. Holds and kicks. Holds and floaty. And it like releases a little bit, almost like it's like cracking its knees a little bit, like, we're up. I think that's good. I think that's better. It gives the pose a lot more character than just that smoothish, continuous, really boring motion. Um, that is handy-hockey. That control plus middle mouse, and then you can drag side to side and do so. Anyway, so let's mirror what we've done with those curves on this one. Let's move them out a few. And then let's move this series back one, just so it resists it a little bit. Okay, it's not exactly the same. You can see that this curve is hitting. So this is also the helpful thing of these like every 5 seconds there's a grid square. You can see that this curve really starts spiking. Like it reaches this level at 10 frames, not seconds, frames, sorry, 10 frames before the keyframe, and it reaches here at 5 frames before. So it's only really getting to the top like really quick before. This one already reaches to this lower depth at 10 frames before, and is even like almost to the bottom already. So I wonder if I can, like, let's even stop fighting it. Let's just let it happen. Um, maybe, oh yeah, so these are out roughly 3 ticks, and this is 2 ticks. So I wonder, I don't know if that's actually going to end up looking super different. Let's find out. So down, hold, and up. Down, hold, and up. Okay, no, that matches pretty well. Okay, okay, let's save. And I don't know about y'all, but I need a restroom break real quick, so I will be back in just a couple of minutes. Let's pop that music back on, and then we will see you shortly. Howdys and salutations once again. Sorry about the wait. Thanks for bearing with me on that. Dinner was good, but it seems to be setting off some rumblies, so I may have to wander off again in a little bit. But in the meantime, we are making some excellent headway, so let's continue that. So let's look at our animation from the beginning. Slow, boring crouch, and then kick off. Slow, boring crouch, hold, kick off. Still, I kind of want to keyframe the crouch, like just a couple extra frames. Pardon. It's going to mess with the Beziers, but that's okay. Because, like, you can see it, like, sort of lets up a little bit. Yeah, like there. And soft up and then kick. Which, you know, is kind of neat, but it's not really what I'm looking for. I want the pop. But before I do that, I want to really get the Beziers in on the moving down. Because that's the other half of the equation. We need to make it look like gravity's actually giving this thing some punch downwards. So that means that it needs to start going... It kicks up, and I kind of want it to hold that upper pose for a little bit. But once it starts coming down, it needs to come down pretty quick into that crouch. And then it needs to slow off just a tiny bit before the actual crouch. Which I think it will actually work nicely with the way these curves sort of naturally work. So, let's pause. Let's go back to the beginning. So, for these ones, so what we were saying is basically, on the down, hold off for a second, and then speed up real quick. Let's try that. And then pretty quick in, and then soft in. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so you have soft, and then up, and down. Up. Okay. Not perfect, but it's closer, so let's keep working with it. Got this one. Basically gonna pick all of these out. Just one notch. See what that does. Up. Home. Up. Home. This is already, like, again, it's not like a super obvious change, but watching it back, this feels a lot more, like, real. That said, I kind of want it to start coming down right away and then just be really steep. So maybe we actually need is this. Yeah! Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. I wonder if you can get this with a little more fine control in Beziers, or if this is kind of... I'm sure there's all sorts of ways to do more or less with this. We can soften it a little bit on the down. Oh, but that's not the part I want to soften. I want to soften the other side. Which I think in this case... Oop, I'm not even getting these upper ones yet. Row. Can I kick this out? Okay, no. Kicking that out was too much. We'll soften that a little bit. Yeah, even that's like pretty quick down. That's fine. For these upper ones, I think I need to kick it out like a notch. Oh. I forgot you can also control steepness with the angle of the Bezier, not just the length. Okay, something's off on that one. But yeah. Okay. So it's up, and then down. Kicks off. And then the down is like hovering a little too long before it... Well, no, because... No, it's the opposite problem. It's not hovering quite long enough. But like this might end up looking floaty. No, it's still really fast. Interesting. Oh, because it's so steep. Okay, hold on. So the other thing I might want to do is just grab all the ones below the center point Tilt them in slightly. And then like I don't want to mess with the other sides at all. I really just want to mess with these. Oh, I know there used to be there's a way to move these upward. There we go. I don't know why it's snapping to grid. But anyway, those ones do that. These ones same thing, but not this side. Oh, phooey. Okay, hold on. Nope, just everything above 0. The ones right on the middle don't move much, so it won't matter much. Don't want to select that. Don't want to... No! There's so many lines here. Let's spread out the distance between them just a little bit so I can actually do this. Oh, yeah, I'd have never gotten that without the zooming in. No! I don't know what the white highlight means, but I don't think I want it. Okay, no. And then, of course, this one. And now that we've got that highlighted, okay, hold on. How far away did I end up? Oh, holy cow, I ended up very far away. And Bezier Curves? Oh, no. Okay, I'm beginning to... I'm only now starting to appreciate how powerful that particular feature is. Let's see. I wonder if leaving out those endpoints was actually the right call. Now we're gonna have to undo so many selects, it's probably gonna undo my entire undo buffer before I get anywhere. Dagnabbit. Okay, well, that's fine. We've just got more tweaking to do. That's fine, genuinely. But it does mean that these upper ones, let's soften the extremes. Yeah. Whoa, you can make it real quick on you if you want. I don't think that's what we're looking for on this one. Okay, hold on. That's gonna get twisted on itself real nasty if I can't figure out how to get it to play night. There we go. Oh, really? You won't go right back on that axis at all? Well, close enough. Are we still getting the weird snap down? Up. Okay, see, that one's smooth. And then up, out, and down. Why is the vertical movement on this one in particular so sharp? Doesn't look like it should be. Yeah, okay, Z location of the hip, that would be the thing messing with it. Well, let's try to soften, I don't know. These outside of the range shouldn't affect anything. May have gotten slightly overzealous with this. That's gonna make it steeper, isn't it? Okay, what specific? It's like here when it hits, really. Oh no, it's this super sharp jump. Okay, yeah. Okay, so now the outer edge one is looking good, and this inner edge one where they're kind of out of sync is the issue. I think it's mostly not even close to where my cursor was. This one. Okay, hold on. So that's the hip B, or no, it's shin A quaternion. Whoa, what did I do to get it? Oh, right, I zoomed in, that's why it's zipping. Zoo! And zoo! Just this little bit of the timeline. Okay. Anyway, this one in particular seems more jarred than others. Um, so that's the Y rotation of shin A. What is the Y rotation of shin B looking like? Yeah, a lot more tame. Okay. And like inverted? I must have caught this while I was messing with some other thing. Because hip A's rotation also does a weird thing at this axis. I assume that's this one? Yep. Oh, don't get me started on that. Like, yeah, okay, let's just soften that a little bit. How did this get so mangled? Why are these in particular so steep right here? When in their equivalent position over here, don't get me wrong, they're fairly steep, but they're not as steep. I assume one of these got ticked out a little bit too far. That's better, okay. Okay, that's got a little weight to it. I feel like we may have lost a little bit of the charm we had going earlier, but that's okay. And up and down. Up and down. I thought it was tiny for a second. Okay. I'm actually. It's not perfect, but I'm fairly happy with how much weightier that one is now than it was before. It feels much better. So we got two more we can look at. I'm not messing with test jaunt because it was a test jaunt. This is so. Sorry. This songs are great, but we've had some really like loud, high pitched ones with which the lo-fi becomes screechy. Um, I do need to mix up my music at some point. This is so I don't dislike lo-fi, but it's not really what I listen to most of the time. However, there's a lot more like copyright-free lo-fi available than some other options. I'd like to put together a proper playlist of stuff though one of these days. I need to start compiling that and figuring out what's reasonable to use. I like NCS, no copyright sounds. They've got some real catchy stuff. Might be a tad distracting at times though. Um, but I know there's other options out there. Um, Heck, there was one I was looking at. What was it called? I don't know. There's a lot of music options out there for non-copyright good music. Um, and I think it would be good to mix it up. Because frankly, you know what? Okay. So when I'm like just hard focused myself trying to do art, I've got like a playlist of 6 songs. And I just let it go. And I love them. And they're not focused songs. At least they shouldn't be. Um, at all. But they're catchy and I like them. But like otherwise, in my free time, a lot of what I listen to is electro swing, which is a fun genre in its own right. And I know there's an electro swing radio, complete with radio ads. Um, it's web based. It's based out of Germany, I think, actually, Berlin specifically. They've got some cool stuff on there, although it kind of leans more towards the swing side of like. There's some songs in there where it's pretty much just swing, which is good. I like swing music, but I really like electro swing music. Like I really like swing growers and Oh, Odd Chap I find a little hit or miss, but some of his stuff I really like. New one, Fire, really, I don't know if it's actually new. New to me, Fire is really good. It's Fire, some might have said 5 years ago, back when that was a thing people said. I'm hip. I was trying to make that ironic, but the fact that I just followed it with a dead silence just made it sad. No, I'm very much one of those, I don't really care what's popular, but if I like what's popular, then I'm not opposed to it. It can be catchy. Granted, sometimes that means I have to admit things like I unironically like the song I'm Already Tracer, which is actually called No Mercy. But dang it, it's catchy, even if some of the lyrics are really stupid. I've never even played Overwatch. I have no idea what if any of the stuff they talk about is still meta or not. Is Bastion still too strong? He sounds like a castle, and castles are fun. Yeah, I'm mumbling to myself at this point. Anyway, we got one pose looking good. Let's move on to the other two. Because, I'll be honest, this section, getting this looking decent, was probably my greatest time sink worry. Now, don't get me wrong. I could spend, like, 10 hours futzing around with lighting. Um, we don't want that. But setting up, like, a conveyor belty type effect, phenomenally easy to do compared to some of this other stuff. Um, I mean, heck, I think I can just make a looping texture animation. It's a different thing. We'll have to do it. I'll probably want to research a little before I do it, but it's not that bad. Rendering is not going to be that bad. Um, this, and then to a lesser extent, lighting and camera angle, but really this, I think, was going to be the biggest time sink. So the fact that the graph editor has proven not nasty, really. Um, like it's not the most intuitive thing in the world, but I feel like I've spent the last year studying enough of the relevant things that I kind of get it. Like I'm sure there's ways to use it much better than the way I have been. Okay, chunking is such a stupid movement that it's going to be really hard to make it animate well. I think we can though, and it's going to be fairly simple, so maybe let's do it. Not fast though. Okay, here we go. Yeah, see, the keyframes on this one are also not complicated. So we've got it sort of roll up, which I think should be like a slow to fast, like boom, and then just really fast down. I think it should land down and then just sit. So it should be down like way early, and then roll up like slow, or like boom. Okay, so let's make that actually happen and not just me badly mimicking it. Did I mention because the movements on this are so extreme, the graph editor looks really weird, but I like it. And you can see we've got similar like repeated patterns because fundamentally the motion between this one and the leaping not that different. There's a very clear down pose and a very clear up pose. Stuff in this, including the rotations especially, are just a lot more extreme. But that's okay with me. We got our down pose, which like we said, we want it to take a long time for down to go up and we want it to accelerate a lot. So let's pinch this in. So it's like slow, fast. Maybe it slows down reaching its final point. I'm actually okay with that. And then once it's at its final point, we want it to be down really quick too. Oh, those angled ones are going to cause weird problems when we pinch them in. That's okay though. Let's even pinch this in a little bit on this side too. Oh, not both sides. Um, I guess we're doing this again. There's got to be a better way. Whoa, okay. The opposite of that, in fact. I don't want these ones because they're not relevant to this fine part of the motion. They're already good as is. Is. I hate when because the problem with the okay, let's spread this out a little bit. Have another go at fixing some of this. And some of these are still so close together. There's another one under there, and at this point I kind of just don't even care to chase it down. It'll do what it'll do. It'll be fine. No, see, not that. So many. These ones don't even matter that much because they're all basically level. More important that I get the ones at the extremes, which means there's some I haven't gotten yet. I hate the white ones when I do that because it like selects a whole line that shouldn't even be involved. Okay, did I mention the extremes are really extreme on this? But it looks like we got most of them already, so that's okay. Anyway, I wanted to pull just this side in. See, all that for that. We're gonna have a few weird warpies, like this one. Let's like soften it a little bit. Um, this line. Oh wow, it's already like. Oh, okay. I guess you can just straight up drag the keyframe. That's fine. Okay. Let's move the ticker back here and see how the motion goes for this first one compared to the second one. If we like it better or worse. Okay, and then fluid, and then up, down. You know what I'm almost inclined to do? This one's so silly. Maybe let's do the opposite. Instead of making it really snappy like we did the other one, let's make it just basically continuous. Which is going to be so silly. It basically means I want there to I don't want the keyframes to have that much impact, broadly speaking. Hmm. Interesting that only one of these has a Bezier handle. Where's all the others? Well, it seems to be affecting all of them, so that's okay. But we'll leave a little bit to smooth out the like bumps at the top, but then like this, let's just rein that way in. Let's like, because I really want to even smooth the edges here, and not like this. Although that's kind of interesting. I wonder what that'll do. Let's see what that'll do. I think it's going to be the opposite of what we want for that particular section, but that's okay. Kind of rolling. Whoa! It's like it slips on a banana peel. Woo! Yeah, that's not what we want. It's funny. It feels like it's getting more exaggerated each time. Oh dear. How's that look just normally? Just whoop. Woo! There it goes. Dunk. Oh, none of that makes any sense. It's real funny. Okay. Let's see. That weird pause where it hangs in the air. Zoop! Pause. 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 Hey, that's not exactly right. We have to mess with that a little bit. Well, the mesh is handling all the well. Okay, the mesh isn't going to get deformed a whole lot through this particular pose, but like generally speaking, the mesh has been doing well on its deformations and not tearing badly, which is good. That's actually really good. Especially because we don't have a lot of subdivisions on it. So, like, if ever it was gonna tear, this is super the time. Not that I'm encouraging it to do so, mind. Okay, well now I want to do this. I want to do like a banana slip with this and rethink the entire animation. But that's not really like this one's not exactly the priority. So let's just kind of leave that one around. Let's go back to sneak because it's the one that I think could benefit the most from this. And it's the one where right now It's definitely like you can tell there's something off about it. Like the release after each like tiptoe is not quite right. And the timing on a lot of it's just a little off. So we'll uh, we'll have some fun with this one. It's got a very funky graph editor chart of its own. Graph, and you can see we've got a lot more keyframes in here, which is why it already has some interesting pauses and such. But the trick is, we probably could have done all of that with the Beziers if we really were clever with it. Now, a keyframe might be a better solution. I mean, it's pretty easy to just put it in the spot where you need it and let it go. Pause. And then the second leg doesn't pause as well. But let's see. Okay, so this one's interesting because I actually do kind of want to handle it leg by leg. No, pardon that sniff. So let's get all of these. And all of the ones for these three and not the others. And let's deal with them first. It's up and then down. Let's see if we can't make this down a little bit more stiff. And down. I kind of wanted to hold on that down for a little bit too. I don't want it to start pulling back quite so fast. So down, and then these ones, let's do this. No, the opposite? Yeah, the opposite. We'll keep it in that position as long as possible. It's like down, and then it's like, okay, yeah. Let's do one more even. Down, and then slowly slide back. There we go. This is getting more of a trudge, you see. Okay. And then I think the pickup, so this part, I wanted to have a slightly slower start. So let's push out. So we'll keep it in that same pose for longer. Let's see, and back and up. Okay, and then it swings forward. Swing. Starts to bend. Once again, let's just keep it a little longer before it starts. Well, hold on, let's see. No, I think let's not do that one. And then down. And if we had it doing those same pauses between each step, I think that would look way better. So let's see if we can get this other leg to do a similar deal. There we go. We'll get this leg going. And I'll be honest, we may wrap early today if we got all of these keyframes. Well, okay. I'm going to go do the banana slip pratfall first, if we have time. But then, like, if all the keyframes are good, we may just leave it at that. That way we got a fresh thing for tomorrow. Blender, it's been fascinating working with Blender after working with so much 2D stuff and not messing with 3D in a long time, because I never get the correct... I'm terrible at estimating how long it will take to do something. Like, the UV mapping, I did not expect to take, like, 2 streams. Setting up the bones, I didn't expect to take, like, 4. This, I figured, would take more than 20 minutes to figure out. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm jinxing myself. Maybe this is about to get really horrible. But it's been fun. Blender is always a stinking mystery. And given that I don't have to meet, like, content quotas or whatever, that means I can just sort of have fun with it. See what it throws my way. Man, I'm gonna miss Blender after this. I'm gonna have to find an excuse to do more Blender stuff, like not just in November. Because, man, it's fun. Oh, I know I do a lot of digital drawing, and yes, it's enjoyable, especially when, like, being able to come up with an idea and make it, like, kind of exist is just super cool. And it's something that I strove for years before I had anything that was close to it. Like, even now, it's, like, not where I want it to be, but it's like, okay, the idea in my head is coming to something good at least most of the time, not all of the time. Some of those swords, some of them were so cool, and some of them were so bad. But that's the luck of the draw, I suppose. I know it's about drawing cards, not swords, but you get my point. Let's see. Hmm. Sorry, lost. Wow, my brain is so wandery today. I definitely need to get more sleep. Um, but like, I was just losing my train of thought because, like I said earlier in stream a little bit before I kick into this leg, that's not even expression. That's not a pun if you just say kick. Anyway, look, I like a good pun, but I like a good pun. It's just saying someone's very, very punny, like, hurts me. Good pun needs to make sense in both ways it's used. Like, both the new use and the original word have to fit. And so many puns don't do that. If you want an example of why the Minecraft joke book is stinking phenomenally terrible and great fun to laugh at, but not with, it's because a lot of its jokes are like that. The puns only work one way, and so it's not a pun. You're just, like, crowbarring a word into another context. So, like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like this. Like, if I was just like, um, okay, like, it's not even a pun, just saying, like, kick to it. Like, yes, the kicking works with the foot motion, but kick to it isn't a phrase. It doesn't even, like, sort of sound like another one. Like, you could say hop to it, and that would work well with the other one. It would actually, like, it's still not a great pun, but it's at least, like, on the one context, it's what's actually happening, and it would be a joke on what I'm doing, but it's still weak. It's passing but weak. A good pun sounds good in every possible context. So it would also like fit with the Ishtar part. It would like the historical gate and the motions. Um, Granted, worlds apart those two, so it'd be hard to come up with a good one. But that's why it's so fun when a good pun like reveals itself because they're always situational. If someone just asks me to be like, "Hey, make a pun," I'm like, because a pun, the setup should just be natural conversation. That's why they work, and why they're jarring at times is because it's not like you're trying to set someone up for it. Now, sometimes you can get in a good chain of them. Like if you get like a I don't know, a bread theme going, then you can start like quote unquote bantering with someone else where each throwing bread puns out there, and then even stretches kind of work because you're trying to come with a bunch on the fly. Um, like normally I would say get bready for this, or get bready to lose this pun war would be bad because it's not quite right. Like bread and ready, there's overlap, but they're not quite a good fit. Like it's okay. Um, but they don't like it's very clear like something's off. Like you even if you say it pretty quick and naturally someone's gonna be like bready. Um Whereas like one that's a little better because it fits the flow of the speech is like, well, like at yeast there weren't worse options. Like yes, yeast and least don't sound exactly the same, but they do end on the same sound, so it's less jarring. And the Y can still like fit into like the same like smooth from at into least and at into yeast. At least with the I don't know what my accent is, American-ish. It kind of works that way. So I don't know. Like I get snobbish about puns, but in reality, I'm just happy if anyone cares to make them. Um, they're fun. They're often dumb, but they're fun. Of course, I prefer the wholesome ones. I know there's plenty of like innuendo puns out there, but like, low effort. And more importantly, like usually they don't bother having it being a two-way pun because it's just like it's an innuendo. Whoa, controversial or whatever. I don't care. But like no, a pun that actually takes some thought and works in every context is impressive. Um, and they should be applauded, and by applauded I mean thoroughly groaned at because that is the pun equivalent of applause. Um, anyway, I've gone on this tangent about puns for like a long time, and I don't know why. Um, I hope it had. Well, I don't know if y'all like puns or not. Otherwise, I'd say that this is clearly someone's eternal punishment. But like, I don't know. If you actually like puns, then it doesn't really pack much of a punch, does it? You wouldn't find these well, repugnant is not a very good pun because the pun has a G in the middle of it in that way anyway. They're fairly pungent, but that's like not a negative. Who knows? There's plenty of puns out there, good ones and bad. I won't pretend all mine are genius. I might pretend one or two of them are, but it's probably not true. Okay, thinking about the motion on this. Let's go back to the beginning. Ooh, moonwalk. Ooh. Okay, see, that comes down, or in this case, actually goes up. I remember back when I enjoyed Animal Crossing, for the about 5 minutes before I realized, like, how time locked everything in it is. Ay. Feels like a pay to win game. Like it isn't, but it feels like it. It isn't, right? I don't think it had in-app purchases. Just lots of time on the stock market. Which, by the way, that one is a really fun pun. Because it works. It works for stock and it works for stock. They both sound the same, and in this case, they're both apt for what it is. It is both a stock market type model and stock as in the plant, or the plant type. It's good. It's very clever. I applaud them for that. And by which I mean I say aloud, boo, but I like it. That one's good. Okay. So the other leg, just watching it again because I got on a tangent for too long. What are we doing over here? Okay. Weight in the back. Lift, weight, and then down fast. And then hold on the down for a bit. Okay. So let's go back to this leg, which is actually selected. Lift. So it's at these ones here that we want it to wait a little bit. We're going to hold at this position for longer. Let's tilt that to... Whoa, not that much though. Just softening it a little bit. Um, Wait, and then down fast. We'll see if this is too fast or not. Just putting it back down, up, down. But then it like immediately sweeps back way too soon, so you never get the impact of the down. And honestly, part of that is because the down is already really far back compared to the apex of the kick, which isn't necessarily wrong, but it definitely needs to like hold on here for much longer if we want to have impact. Um, it needs to get to this point faster, and it needs to hold on it longer before it starts dragging back. So let's try this again. Up, down. And then slides back, up, down. And then the backslide is probably still a little too fast, but that's okay, because that's getting to, what, this position on 90? No, okay. Oh, it's hitting its 120 position. Okay. Oh, that's going to be a lot. Okay, hold on. Down. And back. Okay, I think that's actually good. This feels so much trudgier than it did before. Like, doesn't it? This feels like it has weight. And the speed also feels a little mechanical, but I actually kind of like that for this. Oh, the one I do want to avoid, specifically this one, the out kick at the end is way too fast and it's jarring. Just like this one's foot kind of does like a little kick, this one's like kick. Let's see if we can't make that a little better. So where's that between? Here? Okay. Let's soften this. Um, Specifically, this one can be a little softer. Whoa, not that much softer. Even this way. Let's soften that a little bit. A little janky. Part of it's the actual keyframe position is like a little, but it's okay. Honestly, I'm still pretty happy with how this looks like now. Like let's go to the view where we see it. We'll take the skeleton out. We'll just see how it looks meandering on its day. Thunk, 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 thunk. Part of the mechanicalness, especially, is because the hips don't move down enough when it really goes down. Like this hip should way drop, and then this hip should way drop. Um, but A, I don't want to re-keyframe all of it, but B, I also think it kind of works. Like it's a different look than we were aiming for, but that doesn't mean it's a bad look. Um, and so I'm kind of okay with that. So yes, let's yeah, we got ourselves. It's trudging now. Okay, so sneak is looking better. Skipping is looking better. Yeah, it is. Could maybe leave a little less time in the crouch pose, but like, I don't know. I like it like this. I like the kicks being punchy. Like it really is fighting gravity to get up there. Like you've got that moment like a Wile E. Coyote hover right at the top, like woo, thunk, woo, thunk. I think that's fun, and it emphasizes the exaggerated points of motion, which is what I want. Spends time down, spends time up. Really leans into it. Chunking needs to just straight up be like a pratfall. Like I don't know what to tell you. None of it makes any sense. Okay, the slip needs to land there and then right size. Oh, and this maybe let's make it like a normal step instead of bizarre. Ooh, I love the idea that it steps on this one and that causes the other leg to fly. Let's see what we're dealing with. Let's actually get the skeleton back going in here. Sorry for hiding your skeleton. You're the one doing all the work in this case, in most cases. Okay, so we're here. This is already a bizarre starting position. Holy cow, the graph editor on this. Okay, a lot going on. And then we slide forward, and this apex point is so silly. Dunk. Dunk. And then slips, then should fall, and then right side. So these keyframes, I just kind of want to put in a fully different position. Like maybe we leave the wild walk. We'll say it was just doing a funny walk and it slipped. Like whoop, dunk, whoo, and then like this needs to be. We got this one. It does its craziness. This one needs to end up with it like super weird on the ground, and then it like right sizes. Getting it to right size in a way that looks good is going to be difficult. What madness are these keyframes? Okay. Woo, woo, and then fold back. Hmm. First off, if I just move these, let's see how this does. Or whoop. Nah, I wanted to have the hover time. Let's give it the hang time. Woo, thunk. But like by the time it's here, instead of right sizing from this position, it should really just like end up flat on its back. So, oh cheapers, rotating this to fit that is going to be so weird. Oh no, freeform rotate is real risky. It'll do for a rough pass, though. We can tweak positions using this or the graph editor, actually. Let's see. What, Control I? Nope. Right click, insert keyframe, location and rotation. Now let's see our motion. Zoom, thunk, and then it picks itself up. Not great, but I think it's funny. Shunk, thunk. And then it kind of magics back into position. Hey, Dado! What's up with you? Sorry, did I miss you? I've been just like making weird animations and ranting about puns. How are you doing? Let's see. To think I almost wrapped up early today. Can't believe that. Would have missed you. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I need to check the Discord more. That's my bad. I don't check it super frequently because I've got work during the workday. Yeah, I will check it. Um, Let me do that right now. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I need to be. I'm a little spotty on my online time. I'm sorry. Between work and sleep and stream, and then trying to do six other things because I'm never good at just doing one project at a time. Um, did I mention I'm trying to teach myself how to sew a shirt right now? Not an important thing, but I just thought it would be fun. Let's see. This chart is so dumb. Okay, we're here. Thanks. Let's see. Slip land the land needs to be quick. That's not how I do that. Ooh, that's not how I do that either. Let's see. Thanks, yeah. It's ooh. I hope things are going good with you too. Better than the Arch is currently doing. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix that. Oh, when Blender messes up, or when you when I mess up using Blender, it always results in funny nonsense. I can't get mad at it. It should just stay on this for a while before it right sizes. Now it's going to do this. And just sit there, and then. Hey, nice! Oh, Nintendo Switch is a blast. Yeah, I've got the light, so I can't stream it, unfortunately. But it's they're fun. Good games on there too. Oh, really? Okay. I've heard this round's like a little buggy, but that doesn't take away from the fact that like the game itself is still fun, and that's what matters. Buggy games are fine as long as the enjoyment still comes through. Hi, man, I feel old. I started with Pokemon Black and White, which are due for like remakes any time now because it's been so long. And I know there's plenty of people who played longer than me. I mean, that was Gen 5. Let's see. Anyway, this is a really dumb animation. I've just been messing with it. But I do think that this pratfall is more satisfying now. Here, we made some of the actual animations, like, work a little better. Yeah, I may have to go and end up getting Scarlet or Violet at some point. I wasn't sure, just because I played so many Pokemon games, and while they're a blast, there's usually similarities. And so I was like, this year I'm like, I still haven't beaten Elden Ring, like I'm doing other stuff, but they sound fun. Yeah. Yeah, the old Ishtar Gate, it's... I don't know. I don't know what possessed me to think animating this was a good idea, but I did it. So, now it jumps for joy. Or it tries to sneak around. Really heavily. Not quite perfect. I should probably give more movement in the hip part to make this one believable, but it's okay. So I'm pretty happy with it. And then, of course, banana peel slip. Wasn't what this was supposed to be. This one was just a really weird rolly walk, and then I messed it up. Like I screwed up one of the one of these in the graph editor, and it caused it to do that really rapid, like that, just slip and land. So I'm calling this. I'm actually going to rename this from chunking to pratfall. So so weird. So yeah, today's actually gone by faster than expected. We may still end up wrapping up a little bit early, nothing crazy though. Because the next things I need to mess with are, once again, as with Blender, something I probably need to look up, which is lighting. Because while this is all well and good, if we look at it in the actual, like, rendered view, the lighting is really, like, ominous underlighting. um, oh, and it's trying to render the whole thing at full speed, which it super can't do with this renderer. Don't burn yourself out, bud. Um, I guess we could try using the cycles renderer. Yes, spooky creeping castle. We're a little late for Halloween. Although I think it's less intimidating if it sneaks up behind you and then just falls over. I guess unless it lands on you, in which case that would be um, very ominous. For your own health, anyway. If we do this view... Yeah. Yeah, you know, that's the thing with crafts and art and stuff. You got to get a little in advance if you want it to be ready for the for the season. This might be a little early. Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, the lighting on this is so bad. Thunk. Because I've just got one like spotlight source, and that's it. I need to add like a global light. Let's see what we can do just by messing around with it. Well, it comes with a combination of I studied medieval and earlier history in college, and I don't know. I needed something to animate, and I didn't want to do a person because they're really complicated. I want to do this with like other like world landmarks, like the Colosseum, like rolling down a wheel, like a hill, like a cheese wheel, nonsense like that. Maybe the Eiffel Tower, like sticking into the ground like a dart. I don't know. Fun stuff, dumb stuff to be sure, but fun stuff. And I feel like we've learned a lot from it, which was the main point of this. Like, this was mostly a kind of a case study to see, hey, what's going to use most of the important functions in Blender, although not geometry nodes, which is something that I really will need to master because dang are they powerful if you know how to use them. Yeah, like we could do, have you seen that meme where it's like the three guys from that old animation walking, but they've all got just ridiculous walks? We could do that, but we've got like this and the Arc de Triomphe and a few other like famous arches because there's plenty. It's like boom, 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 boom. That one's a silly one. Okay, let's get out of animation view, get into modeling view, actually have the render going, and let's fix our lighting. Um, lighting. This one, world, scene. Maybe, maybe I should. Oh, okay. Let's see. So, come on, tooltips, don't fail me now. Come on, renderer, you are going crazy, my dude. Let's pause the animation while we're doing this, so that the renderer doesn't lose its mind. Hey, no, don't feel bad though. Like I understand it. Our time zones barely overlap. It's always a treat to get to see you when you drop in because I know it's, you know, you never know how long it can be. But yeah, no. Go get some sleep. Don't like don't break your sleep schedule too much over there. But yeah, have a good one. And like I said, I'm probably wrapping up early anyway, so other than messing with lighting for a few minutes, I ain't doing much today. Um, Tomorrow I'll stream. Oh, I should tell you. Yeah, this week is a little unusual. I'm still okay. Let's see. Central Time, I'm 8 to 10. Your time zone, that's going to be +7, and I should say 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. here. So that's going to end at like it's like 1500 to 1700 on Tuesday. Oh wait, am I adding that the wrong way? I think I'm adding that the wrong way. Yeah, no, because it'd be eight. It'd be right because I'm streaming like 20 to 22 your time, right? No, I'm streaming 20 to 22 my time and then +7. Oh, dagnabbit time zones. Why you gotta be so stinking complicated? Yeah, my channel has it all. It should convert time zones and do all that jazz for you. Um, let's see. Right, 3:30. It's 9:37 p.m. for me, which let's see, 9 plus 12 would be so that'd be like 21 using um like the 24-hour clock. And so then 21 plus 7 would be the 3 a.m. So yeah. Yeah, I'm probably running 2 to 4 your time. That's the long and short of it. But as a heads up, I won't be streaming on Friday or Thursday because it's an American holiday. But then next week it'll be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 2 to 4 a.m. your time. But again, no pop in when you can. I ain't gonna force you. Everybody's got lives. Yeah, if you want to. Again, like we'd love to have you. It's great to have you by, but I don't want like no pressure though. I never want to assign someone homework to visit the stream. But yeah, no, I should be 2 to 4 pretty much every week your time. I think our time zones shifted at the same weekend too, for that like daylight savings or whatever. Yeah, and Twitch notifications are always like a little delayed anyway. I ought to set it up. How? When I set up a Discord server, I'll set up one of those things that sends out a notification on there automatically when I start streaming. I've been looking for an excuse to dig into the OBS API anyway, so I'm sure there's a Discord bot that already does it, but why not try to build my own? I mean, it's not like I'm doing 6 other things already. But it's fun. That's how I get to learn new things. And you never know what's going to be useful. Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to do it. It's just a matter of when I can do it. That's the challenging part. Render, okay, that's render properties, not lighting. I mean, it'll have lighting impact, but maybe. No. Maybe I need to not have anything selected. Let's go to object mode and select nothing. Nope. Okay, yeah. Have a good one. Bye, Dado. see. Hmm. I mean, I know obviously I can click on the light source, but that's just the one light. It's like a point light, and it's at a bad point. It's like under the arch. So, huh. Oh, heck yeah. Beat, beat block. What are these? Beat block? Because it's like with the rhythm. I don't know. It's a good song. I have no idea if my audio is synced with the music's when it streams. I won't hum for everyone's sake, just in case they're out of sync, because that becomes just the worst. Alright, we use nodes. Interesting. Okay, I don't want to mess with that right now. Well, I shouldn't have even clicked it. Um, oh, man. Woo! Geometry nodes showing some interesting data right now that I didn't know it would show. Okay, I like geometry nodes. It's something I need to mess with more. Because it's the first time I've ever actually understood one of those darn tree diagrams. Not tree diagrams, but like the way these things work. Like this stuff. We don't actually need a new one for it right now. But man, oh, they're fun. They're fun when you know what to do. They're horrendously nasty if you don't if like you don't already know what functions exist because they're not intuitive. If you know what you're trying to do, they're super powerful and super cool and super easy to update live. Like if you see like live DJs and stuff, a lot of them use a similar like not DJs but like the actual musicians who are doing like building natural electronic stuff. A lot of them are using these sorts of network diagrams to tweak their sounds and stuff. Not a network diagram either. Whatever the heck it is. A node graph, maybe? I don't know. But they're easy to modify live, and you can adjust the interface to be super friendly. They're super cool. But when you're first learning, if someone's like, oh, check out this cool new thing, it makes it super easy, which is true for an expert, it makes it super easy as an interface, but as a beginner, it is like the worst thing ever. And then you feel bad because this is the easy way, so what on earth is the hard way? I might be speaking from personal experience from a music-based class, coding class, music coding. It was an interesting course. It wasn't remotely what was on the syllabus. Our professor went basically rogue, but it was interesting. Still didn't give the course a very good review because we didn't learn any of the stuff we actually needed to, but I learned a lot of cool stuff, so like I can't completely complain. Although some of it was like super deep and the kind of like not necessarily pretentious, but kind of so caught up in its own world it's oblivious to everything else kind of art. Like they say stuff that to just a passerby sounds just like insane. But when you're like with it and like paying attention to it and like not paying attention to the art and with it isn't like saying or anything, but like when you're sort of in that world and trying to like follow along what they're saying and like approaching it genuinely, it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But like in terms of impact beyond that, usually it's so abstract that it just doesn't deliver the message well. But that's obviously a personal opinion, and every artist is going to be different in how they do it. Obviously, my stuff is a little weird. As concrete as this is, it is still a marching gait. Gate with a gate, as I think someone said last stream. Woo! Oh, that's kind of fun. We could just keyframe the camera's movements. Or I guess you could keyframe the actual gates to make it look like it was spinning, and we wouldn't have anything in the background. Um, just like, hey, it's like one of you put it on a music box, and it's like a little ballerina, like do 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 do. I realize no music box should ever be playing like the Clown March song, but you got to admit it's fitting. Okay, well, this has been a good time. Oh, it's fine, but it is weird to see this when it's paused on a non-normal frame. I shouldn't do this while in render mode because it's going to try to render every frame and it's going to fall way behind. Um, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wait. What did I do? What did I do? Oh no, did I somehow disconnect it from the mesh? Um, not changing the animation either. What did I do? Did creating the node chart like break all of its connections or something? Just when you think you've got Blender figured out, it says no. No, you don't. Animation. Let's go back. Okay, we were on pratfall. We'll go to phase 0. Okay, okay. I don't know what I did. Maybe it was just a visual error. Which, great. Awesome if it can do that. But that's okay. I would like to swap to some of the other views. Do I need to pause to get it to swap to the other views? No, this is still the pratfall one. This isn't test jaunt at all. That's interesting. Alright, so there's pratfall and all of its nodes and everything. Why are they highlighted like this? Like the naming and the red underline I feel is probably a bad sign. And skipping and sneak. Then test jaunt. Well, the good news is the graphs are still independent. Which means that the separate animations exist. They just ain't, well, showing. If I hover over this, will it tell me what's up? Like throw an error message my way? Okay, hold on. I think it would have shown up by now. What does this toggle do? Enable F. Okay, that's fine. Sure, I am messing with that, with the F frames at all. Point is pratfall's going? Well, maybe. We're back to not moving again, which is interesting. Hmm. Let me, hold on, let me, there are no geometry nodes. At all. Like, this area isn't doing anything. We're not messing with whatever, yeah, no. Oh, shading. This is where I should actually mess with the lighting when the time comes anyway. Textures, UV editing, of course. We remember that. Sculpting is relevant for a lot of things, but not what we're doing currently. And then this, which... Interesting. Let's go back to frame 0. But, like, that hasn't even impacted it. Back to object mode. Is that the issue? No, it ain't. Um, Whoa! What's all this? This was not... I don't think this was part of it. When I clicked on geometry nodes for 1 second... Did that cause it to generate these as subsections instead of what they were before, and subsequently break it? Possible solution. Restart. Hope we didn't lose too much. skipping. Okay. For the record. Okay, so now this existed like this. So I have no idea. I have no idea what changed. Less sneak and more mecha walk, but I still like it. And Test Jaunt being its weird floaty self. This one, it really helps show how floaty the poses were before when we see this in this state. Interesting. Okay, well, unfortunately, I do believe that we're going to probably want to wrap up here. I'll go ahead and mark that we don't have the Friday stream because for those of you in the States, you may be familiar with Thanksgiving. Regardless of the dubious potential origins of the holiday, it's now basically just a celebration of spending time with family, and that's something that I like to do with my family, so that's what I'll be doing instead of streaming. That said, I hope y'all all have a lovely holiday and or not holiday, have a good week. I will see y'all tomorrow, so it ain't over yet, and I think we're going to dig into the lighting, which I'm excited about. Honest to goodness, really excited about that, actually. Because it's something that I recall being exceedingly frustrating and complicated, but that was more dealing with material reflectiveness, or they actually call it something different. It's glossy versus matte. I think they call it, like, not brash, but bluntness or grain, or it's not grain. They've got a weird name for it in Blender because it's still a scale of 0 to 100, but most systems are like, how shiny do you want it? 0 is no shiny, 100 is all the shiny, and this one is like, how matte do you want it? 0 is no matte, which means very shiny, and 100 is all the matte, which means no shiny. So it's like inverted from normal. It's kind of funky. It's not wrong, though. It's just different from other conventions I've seen. Still works either way, though. And in any case, we will get to it when we get to it tomorrow. Honestly, I was afraid this stream was going to be the harbinger, the absol of like having to spend the rest of the month just on easing and tweaking these. So it's nice to see, one, that it's fairly straightforward, and two, that there's actually more power to it than I've messed with. So you could make stuff look really smooth if you wanted to take the time to do it. But since this one's mostly a learning animation, I'm not worried so much about final polish. Well, I do actually like Test Jaunt is just satisfyingly weird and floaty, and I kind of love it. But I also like that we were able to get a lot of very different feels with the other ones just by doing some minor tweaks to them. So, we'll let the gate march onwards into the infinite darkness until tomorrow, when we shall actually bring about a little bit more light than the ominous undertones below it. Until then, I hope y'all have an excellent time, and I hope I see y'all on the flip side. Have a good one.